Four ordinary guys with extraordinary ideas for Disney parks. This is Main Street Musings,
the experimental podcast of tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Musings, the experimental podcast of tomorrow. I'm Tanner, and joining me is the Headless Horseman, Jake. The fourth Sanderson sister, Brock.
Double bubble, toil and trouble, baby.
And Mr. Oogie Boogie himself, Eric.
Hello, Jack.
Did you say Jake or Jack?
I said Jack, you mother... Oh, my God.
Jake, not everything's
Why would I
about
say
you.
Jake?
Hello,
Well, I thought he said
Jake.
Jake at first, and it kind of freaked me out. I'm not going to lie.
Hello, Jake. You guys like my Oogie Boogie? I've been working on it.
It's actually pretty
Yeah, that
good.
was good.
Yeah, I'm an actor. I have a degree in theater.
Well, I'm glad that
sweet.
you've been working on it since this was your first time hearing that, Eric. That's really impressive. That's going above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Duty.
So, if our listeners haven't figured it out by now, today is our Halloween special. So how's everyone doing?
Spooky. I'm feeling pretty spooks.
I'm good. I mean, this is especially spooky because you guys are all disembodied voices this time.
That's true.
For those of you at home, we are social distancing for this recording session. So I am here in the studio, and the boys are remoting in. Is that correct, boys?
That is. We are peak 2020 right now, which is
Oh, yeah.
very exciting.
Yes.
In a terrifying, dystopic kind of way.
The scariest
Yeah,
part
this
of
whole
Halloween
year.
is the social distancing.
I mean, what are we even going to do for Halloween? Like, one of my favorite memes that's been popping around is like, what are y'all doing for Halloween? Just like dressing up as a ghost and vibing in your basement or something? I was like,
That's
much.
pretty much my plan.
Except I'm not going to be dressed up like a ghost.
What are you going to be dressed as?
Me naked.
The idea is to be something scary, not something sexy.
Throwback
Yeah, I wish
to
there
Brock
wasn't such a
helping me with that
sexist double
sexy
standard.
Abraham Lincoln costume a couple years ago.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I love the sexy Abraham Lincoln costume was mostly just things from my closet, and then me having to cut pants off of Tanner to make them into hot pants.
Yes, and me just using the black vest instead of a white dress shirt.
Guys, I know what I'm doing for this episode. Forget my original pitch. I'm just going to do a Halloween overlay on Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. And he's going to be...
He's going to be sexy.
It's going to be sexy Abe Lincoln. Well, sexier. Let's be honest. Sexier. So anyway, now that we've had that discussion, let's get this Disney podcast on the road.
What are we talking about today, T? Aside from specifically not just Halloween, what are we talking about?
So today, each of the four of us have gone away and come up with a new pitch for a Halloween attraction. These can be ride layovers, walk-through attractions, really anything. So we're going to get into some spooky surprises if everyone's ready to pitch.
It's the part where we make a pitch.
All right, so let's get into it. It looks like Jake is going to be up first today.
Oh, snap. All right. So for a little bit of behind the scenes here, we don't tell each other our pitches ahead of time, but we have a little spreadsheet where we just quickly write down like a quick idea so that way we don't steal each other's ideas. So the boys saw that I wrote down Lonesome Ghosts because I was going to make a pitch about the classic Lonesome Ghosts Disney short from 1937.
Oh my God.
That's one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
Yes. However, last night I literally had a dream about a different, better idea. So I'm switching things up. And Tanner, nobody knows what it is. So Tanner, you calling me the Headless Horseman was actually a good thing. So my ride pitch is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh.
Yes, but specifically what's going to happen is you're going to go through the queue line, which is going to be the town of Sleepy Hollow, eventually working your way into the house at the end of the street as it slowly becomes nighttime through the queue line. And that, of course, is the Van Tassel home, where Katrina's father is throwing the Halloween party. And you will go into that room, and that is where Brom Bones will sing the legendary Headless Horseman song. And then you will, from there, board your trackless ride vehicle and make your way home.
That's awesome.
And perhaps on the way home, you will have some unexpected trouble. But I think you can imagine where that is going.
I love you throwing around these names like they're common knowledge to our listeners. I mean, we know them because we have a disease, but like...
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know there were any characters in the Sleepy Hollow universe that weren't Ichabod Crane.
Yeah, there's Ichabod Crane, there's Brown Bones, there's Katrina von Tassel and her father, and then the rest of the people don't really have names.
There's also the Headless Horseman, Jake. You forgot that one.
Well, I thought that was... That could go without saying.
I'm getting really a little Halloween spooked by the idea that all of these paranormal forces are giving you dreams and then giving me introductions for you, all centering around this idea.
I feel like the spirits are forcing my vote, and I don't like that about the spirits.
Yeah, I think let's spite the spirits.
Eric, the spirits are Russian.
So they're vodka?
Stop interfering with the election, spirits.
All right. So anyway, that was my pitch, and we can get to the more details during the question segment. So I hope you guys like it. Who is next?
All right, Brock, you're up.
All right. So my pitch is for a walk-through kind of haunted house style attraction themed around the television show Gravity Falls.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is one of my absolute favorite shows of all time.
Mine as well.
So the premise is that you go through the queue line and you watch a video of Grunkle Stan introducing his new haunted tours of the Mystery Shack to celebrate the Gravity Falls holiday of Summerween.
Yes.
The Jack-O-Melons are decorating the Mystery Shack. There's going to be a lot of fun Summerween decorations. For those that don't know, that's a holiday on the show because it all takes place over one summer. It's basically Halloween, but in the summertime. So Grunkle Stan has his new haunted tours. He's always in it to make a quick buck. They're really cheaply, it's really cheaply done. It's cheap thrills. There's bats that are just cans on strings, and it's really, really stupid and gaudy until things are interrupted by that interdimensional demon trickster himself, the chaotic evil Bill Cipher.
Bill Cipher!
Who's somehow one of the more disturbing children's villains that there is, but also
Yeah, he really is.
a very fun character as well. And with the help of the guests, Dipper and Mabel are able to fight off and banish Bill Cipher.
Nice.
That's my pitch.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Thank you.
I'm not super familiar with Gravity Falls, but I want to learn more strictly based on that pitch.
I've been rewatching it right now, actually, the last couple weeks, and it is an incredible show.
All right, I believe I am up next.
Go, Eric Rangers.
Pow! So when I was thinking through Halloween stuff, I tend, like when I start my pitches in my brain, I kind of top down like aesthetics first. And I was thinking through like traditional Halloween color palettes to start off with. And I'm like, it's usually black and orange, but like what else is there in the Halloween range to go with? And there's like purples and greens and stuff like that too. And that kind of led me down the path to a Fantasyland layover that is run by the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Cool.
So instead of your typical sort of like skeletons, zombies, kind of Halloween spooks, it's a more surrealistic, psychedelic style of Halloween.
Yeah, I like
Where
that.
things are getting inverted and there's a lot of tricks on the eye being played on like visual things. Like you'll look and see the Cheshire Cat up somewhere and then he'll be gone and he'll be somewhere else. And so it's a psychedelic trip through Fantasyland led by the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland is my Halloween pitch.
Awesome.
I really like that idea.
Cool.
Cool.
I like you guys. What do you got for us, Steve?
All right, so stay with me here. I am pitching a walkthrough attraction of the much beloved Disney original film, Halloween Town.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much everybody knows about it, but basically it centers around a magical town where all the monsters live, called Halloween Town. Guests will hop aboard the flying bus to and from the mortal realm to travel to the magical world of witches, ghouls, and other monsters called Halloween Town. Guests will explore the town square in many locations from the film, such as the Abominable Snowman ice cream shop, the old Cromwell house, and of course, the spooky abandoned movie theater. Guests will enjoy the whimsy of meeting characters such as Benny, the skeleton cab driver, while also uncovering the dark secrets affecting many in the town. Boom.
Wow. So Tanner, is that a walkthrough?
Yes.
So
We'd
I
be
have not
creating
seen-
a walkthrough town.
Gotcha. So I have not
okay.
seen Halloween Town, but that sounds really cool.
It does sound cool. It much like the Gravity Falls pitch, it makes me want to engage with this particular IP.
Yes, I agree.
As someone who has seen Halloween Town, I can't believe that you're making me want to engage with this IP.
I guess if we want to move into our question and answer portion, I can go a little bit more into that.
It's the part where we do Q&A.
Is this going to be, you said it's like a walk through town, so is it kind of more of just a section of park, kind of like Toontown, where people can kind of just take it at their own pace?
Yeah, my idea would be there'd be a guided path, but you can stop and take pictures and stuff along the way. But obviously there'd be a guided path to help with clogging up stuff. I just think even people who don't know the property super well, the idea of a land with all of these comical, fun, brightly colored monsters and stuff would be a fun area to explore.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. That sounds pretty cool. So, but just so I understand, that your pitch, this is a land, correct? Like a small land?
It's a very complex walkthrough attraction.
Okay.
Do you have ideas about where it would be located?
No, don't be silly, Eric.
Is there a story to this attraction, or is it more just you're here to enjoy Halloween Town kind of a thing?
Well, that's the story. That's where the walkthrough comes in. So you would go to all of the locations, would be like your rooms in a haunted house. And it would be mainly following the story of the first Halloween Town, which if people don't know, who am I kidding? All of our listeners know this. But there is something malevolent going on in the town where people, otherwise friendly monsters, are beginning to turn evil and scary and disappearing. So you would be unraveling the mystery of that throughout. Ultimately, that's where the abandoned movie theater, where the frozen evil monsters would be living and hiding, because that's what happens to them. So that would kind of be your reveal, and then the rest of it would be the culmination of the film, lighting the jack-o'-lantern.
I like the whole idea of it being interactive and the guests trying to figure out a mystery as they're moving forward.
Yes.
As someone not familiar with Halloween Town, did you say the first Halloween Town?
Yes.
Implying that there's more than one?
There is Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, Halloween Town 3, Halloween Town High, and Return to Halloween Town, but we don't talk about that one because they replaced the actress who played Marnie and thought all of the kids wouldn't notice.
Yeah, that's the first Marnie is a better Marnie, I gotta say.
Okay.
Second Marnie's okay, but she's no first Marnie. And if you're wondering, Jake, yes, I have seen all of them now.
I see.
I have a question for Eric, which is, I guess I'm just wondering, what kind of attraction is this?
Oh, it's an overlay. It's not an attraction. So it would be...
So it's an overlay of all of Fantasyland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a complete overhaul of the decorations of it. It's not a specific attraction. It's just retheming the land for Halloween.
That's actually really cool. So it's like the Cheshire Cat has taken over Fantasyland.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. That's fun.
It would be Wonderland for Halloween, right? Like it would sort of change from Fantasyland to Wonderland, and you would follow the Cheshire Cat's version of the story, right?
Yes.
That's neat.
Which would be totally topsy-turvy and crazy, and
it's very uncanny.
Yeah, that would be really cool too, because I went to the Not So Scary Halloween party last year, and I don't remember a ton of alterations to Fantasyland in particular. So this would be a really cool way to change that.
Question for Jake.
Yeah.
So you say mishaps ensue towards the end of your ride. Walk me through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so I basically only described the queue line. The ride itself, I envision basically being the scene from the movie where Ichabod is riding home and the Headless Horseman chases after him. So it would start with basically, I don't want to get too much into this because we haven't voted yet, but you're riding along in your trackless vehicle. So you're taking the place of Ichabod. You're going through the spooky woods. You hear the creepy noises. So you seek sanctuary in the nearby cemetery, because that's wise. And like in the movie, that is where he runs to the cemetery because he hears the cattails hitting the log and he thinks it's a horse chasing him, hides behind a tombstone. And that's when the Headless Horseman pops up doing that amazing laugh, which is part of the reason. I mean, that is one of the scariest laughs of all time, honestly. Is the Headless Horseman's laugh from that particular cartoon. And then he chases Ichabod around and all kinds of chaos ensues. And he has to make it to the bridge because once you cross that bridge, my friend, the ghost is through. His power ends.
The ghost is through. His power ends.
So that basically is my ride. You have to get to the bridge without the Headless Horseman chopping your top.
Okay, cool. I do have another question for you, Jake, which you may not have a super thought-out answer for right now, but what type of vehicle is this? I know it's trackless, but is it going to be kind of like Maximus Overdrive riding a horse or something else?
Well, I like the idea of riding the horse like Ichabod is doing in the movie, so that might be the way to go. I had kind of envisioned it kind of like the Ratatouille trackless rides where you're just like sitting in, so you have 4 people sitting inside a giant mouse, but like
it could
like
be
a horse.
It could be a horse-drawn carriage.
Even though, so Ichabod is on horseback, but I think a horse-drawn carriage would be fine.
Yeah, that would translate. And then for Brock.
Yes.
So are there going to be a lot of like gags in this, like there are kind of in the show of Grunkle Stan stuff being kind of just shitty?
Yeah. So I think the whole thing is it's presented as Grunkle Stan is trying to scare people because he knows it'll make him $1, but because he's a cheapskate and not actually very good at running a mystery shack. It's all dumb stuff, and I think you might see like the shadows of the characters operating it and like maybe hear them whispering. So it's like Seuss and Wendy and Grunkle Stan are kind of fumbling their way through trying to make a haunted experience. And it's very tongue-in-cheek, and the kids and the guests are all in on the joke that this isn't going well. But then perhaps you end up accidentally in the secret room under the mystery shack and you encounter Bill Cipher and things start going a little crazy because he's a near omnipotent villain, and so you can really make things go a little wild at that point.
I love the idea of a guy named Bill Cipher being an omnipotent, like Thanos, Galactus level villain.
Oh, he's worse than Thanos, honestly. He's worse than Thanos.
There's some serious Illuminati shit going on with Bill Cipher.
Oh, yeah, that is 100% intentional.
He's very conspiracy theoristy. When he first appears, one of his most iconic lines is, "Reality is an illusion, the universe is a hologram, buy gold, buy."
Yeah.
Oh my God, how have I never seen this show?
Yeah, I know. You would love this show, Eric.
That's exactly my stuff. Question for Brock. This is this being like a haunted house that's being... I feel like my questions have been very location focused today, but is it being built for it? Is it taking over something?
And now it would have to be built.
Okay.
It's such a unique, and for those of people who've seen the show, it's a unique and iconic location. Like, you want to see the exterior of the Mystery Shack, and the interior is not going to be like anything in Disney. You'd have to build it.
Yeah, I would say both Brock and Dies would probably have to take up either like parking lot space or something like that, because I think part of the reason Disney doesn't do these walkthrough attractions as much is because, unlike Universal, they don't have like studios they can take over for a little bit.
I should point out that walkthrough attractions are super popular in Europe. So Disneyland Paris, which is also the largest of the Magic Kingdoms, has a lot of walkthrough attractions, and they have a lot of space for walkthrough attractions. So
Very
that is
cool.
an option. Since Eric has not asked me yet, my ride would be located in Liberty Square.
Okay.
Good to know. I'm going to definitely take that into consideration.
Sleepy Hollow is supposedly located in upstate New York, and Liberty Square is modeled after upstate New York. So it works perfectly.
It kind of does, and it's...
Thanks for asking, Eric.
Sleepy Hollow is the ultimate American ghost story.
So I know that Haunted Mansion is also in Liberty Square, and that's like 2 ghosty rides right by each other, but I don't care. So
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
I don't either.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think, like, honestly, like, condensing that stuff into one area makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other questions for anybody from anybody, since Jake answered my question for him?
Nope. How you guys doing? Are you feeling
Cool,
well?
I'm ready to vote, man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, let's vote.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to vote as well.
It's the part where we vote.
All right, I will take the first vote. I feel like we go through this every time. I like all of them.
Yeah, they're all
I
really
seriously
good.
do.
I would like to preface the voting by saying any of these ideas that we don't pick, I think are all worthy to be discussed at a later episode. All of them are really good.
Yeah, honestly, so I was leaning one way, and then, I'm not going to lie, Jake, the fact that you mentioned it being next to the Haunted Mansion and creating, like, a cool, spooky element to all of that section, honestly, it sold me. I love the idea of Liberty Square becoming, like, a haunted thing. I think that's really cool. So my vote is going to go for the Sleepy Hollow ride.
Jake?
I really like the Cheshire Cat being different, and I like the Halloween Town thing sounds really cool. However, I think I'm going to have to go for Gravity Falls because Gravity Falls is amazing and has no representation in any of the parks. And it should. And the idea of getting to visit the Mystery Shack would just be so cool, and having to deal with Bill Cipher. So I'm going to vote for Gravity Falls. Brock.
Thanks.
Cool.
All right. I'll say I really, really love the Cheshire Cat thing. That whole the retheming of Fantasyland I think is brilliant, but I also just don't know if I have a lot to talk about with that. I will say that I think it definitely should happen, but I think there's more to talk about in some of the other ideas. So I think I'm gonna vote for, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Tanner's Halloween Town.
We could have our first tie. We haven't discussed what happens when we tie.
All right, Eric, I love the Cheshire Cat idea. That should definitely happen, but I am with Brock, and I'm not sure exactly how much we'll be able to specifically go into with it. So I think let's just kind of jot that down as, yes, do this. Use projection mapping and do it. Gravity Falls is just incredible. But I do know that Sleepy Hollow scarred my mom when she watched it the first time. So both these are just iconic. I think, though, something Jake pointed out is going to lead me actually to voting for the Gravity Falls attraction, in that at least we do have the Headless Horseman appears and rides during the theme parks. We have nothing for Gravity Falls right now. So I'm going to vote for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations, Brock.
Thank you. I'm feeling good. I'm on top of the world.
This might be the toughest time I've had because I like all three of them so much. Brock, let's get into more of your discussion about how you're picturing this looking, the queue, the attraction itself.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't obviously planned it in detail, but I was thinking, and I haven't planned exactly like where it would be in the park geographically, but I'm thinking if we could, the queue, you're in line outside the Mystery Shack. There's, the forest. And I think it'd be fun because, a lot of ride queues, they have TVs along the path. I think it'd be fun if it was like TVs on those like big old TVs on a cart, kind of like how you would wheel into a classroom, where it just looks pretty cheap and like there's a VCR and there's a lot of extension cords running to the Mystery Shack. Just so it kind of looks like a rinky-dink operation. And Grunkle Stan is explaining his new tours, and Dipper and Mabel are kind of interrupting in the background, and as well as some of the other characters from the show. And he's walking you through the idea of what that would be. So it's a little ride preview video. And you go into the Mystery Shack, which Eric, you should look up. It's a very iconic and very fun-looking building. You go into the Mystery Shack, and it's the main lobby of the Mystery Shack, which is kind of like a gift shop area. And it's all of these really cheap, very like kindergarten haunted house gags, but even like that aren't very good. I'd like to think that there's like a bucket of peeled grapes that are like eyeballs, but also you can literally see that they're just peeled grapes. that sort of thing. Yeah, and then you go through the different rooms of the house, which have been decorated to look like a haunted house, but a very poor one, until you accidentally are led through the secret entrance behind the vending machine into the secret portal room beneath the Mystery Shack, where Bill Cipher appears and kind of hijacks it, maybe starts turning things into like a weird Mageddon 2.0.
Even do like for the special attraction, that'd be an awesome way to like use a team up of some of the other iconic monsters from episodes. So you can get a little like return of like those gnomes and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, Bill Cipher would definitely have the ability to bring back spooky characters that you can kind of interact with. And, you know, the Seuss and the employees of the Mystery Shack wear the fun shirt and hat. I actually own that shirt. But, you know, you have...
And the hat.
And the hat, yeah. Oh, I own Dipper's hat, yeah. You have the employees wearing that shirt and, like, looking like they're Mystery Shack staff members handing out candy. And it still, like, works within the world without taking you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. How long are you envisioning this process to take from start to finish?
Oh, that is, I hadn't thought of that. Considering other walkthrough attractions, I guess it would have to be probably around like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what the
too.
length of other attractions is, but that sounds accurate.
I think you're probably shooting for vaguely between 20 and 30.
At a Disney park, I think
30.
you're going to want to go closer to your 15-20 because getting people through quickly will be an issue. I think that's what you'd want to aim for.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many rooms does that, like, how many total rooms are we looking at? So we can, like, look through, like, a theming of each one.
Well, let's see. I think if we see the main lobby of the Mystery Shack, not counting the queue, there'd be the main lobby, maybe Dipper and Mabel's bedroom, maybe 2 or 3 in the Mystery Shack, and then you end up in the secret room down below 4, and then I don't know if Bill Cipher would take you to a different place or what, or how that would work.
Yeah, I think it would be good if Bill Cipher took you to a different place.
Yeah, so that would be another room, and then you would end outside the Mystery Shack, I guess. So
you could end in the
rooms.
Mystery Shack gift shop.
That's true, and Grunkle Stan would, definitely exit you through the gift shop.
Yes, 100%.
Capitalism.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, a good introduction to Grunkle Stan is in the opening credits, the little shot of him that they show is him with his arms full of cash running away while you can see blue and red flashers flash behind him.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So we're looking at probably like 6 rooms attempting to build like somewhere between 3 minutes, like an average of like 3 minutes each.
Yeah.
Some of them can be like 1 to 2, and then the rooms with Bill Cipher can be a little longer so that you can experience the weirdness of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Any ideas of what we should do with those rooms?
Well, I think it would be fun to theme the queue as maybe the rest of the town.
Oh, yeah,
through,
that's
like,
great.
With all of the Summerween decorations up, because that kind of gets you set up in what you're going to be looking at. So you have all the different townsfolk with
So you
like,
can see like the
stands,
diner
like, a
and the
fair
water
and stuff.
tower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all the kind of iconic Gravity Falls locations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think that would be a good place to start, and then using like an optical illusion of like seeing the Mystery Shack in the distance and then eventually walking through the doors of it as you go.
So do we want to start in the Mystery Shack, or do we want to start in their bedroom?
If we're thinking architecturally, their bedroom is in the attic, I just realized.
I don't know
Yes.
if we want to go to their bedroom. I know it's an area in the show, but I think we're going to get more out of being in the shack and traveling around that way.
yeah, if we pretend that we're guests of the Mystery Shack, the guests never would have gone into the bedroom.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of locations you see in the show.
I mean, if we stick with the Mystery Shack thing, then we just we have that to flesh out, and we can, since if we're going, I don't know what Weird Mageddon fully entails, but that sounds like something that can manipulate reality enough to send us kind of where we
Yes.
want.
Exactly. In Weird Mageddon, Bill kind of creates his own, like, sort of temple in his image, and we could kind of go to a place like that where Bill is trying to create Gravity Falls in his image and take over.
What if when you get to Weirdmageddon, you get forced to go through a couple of those bubbles, the insanity bubbles?
The insanity bubbles are fun. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then things go upside down, distorted, and then you can kind of use fun house effects.
Right.
Yeah.
Similar to what Eric was talking about with the Cheshire Cat idea.
In the show, there's these bubbles of insanity that the characters have to go through, and it completely changes reality while they're in there.
I think that's a really interesting place to take most of the experience.
Yeah.
Is like starting in the shack, and then we just kind of like maybe even the second room is the cellar or whatever, wherever he's in, and then you go through this insanity bubble, and then like the most of the 5-ish rooms of the experience are that, especially if it's going to be like Halloween more specifically. Is this envisioned as a Halloween time frame, like that it's being propped up, or is it going to stay an attraction past that time? Because I think that affects that kind of decision.
I think the nature of the walkthrough Halloween attraction is that it would probably just be a Halloween attraction. That being said, obviously I would want this to be a permanent thing personally, but I guess that's kind of up to Disney corporate. So
right.
If you guys want to...
For the purpose of the episode, let's treat it as a Halloween special edition.
Yeah.
So I think that pushes us more towards the insanity bubble walkthrough, like where things are twisting and turning, right?
Yeah, I think one idea I had going off of that is to make the first room of the Mystery Shack be more almost of a show scene. Like the second loading, like the stretching room portion of Haunted Mansion. So that would be where you could then get some projection mapping tricks after you look around of like Bill Cipher appearing, and you'd get your story there, and then reality's distorted and you go through into the next room as the first insanity bubble, kind of mixing show and walkthrough as a thing.
And each we could do something like have each insanity bubble be referencing like a different villain from the show or something, like you were talking about bringing people back.
Yeah, there's a lot of antagonists throughout the show. It's kind of like when the show is first getting going, it's kind of like a monster of the week type thing.
Right.
So it might be cool to see some of those monsters come back, like the zombies or the gnomes or the... Especially in a Halloween thing, the zombies would be good to see.
Yeah, the zombie boyfriend.
But yeah, there's definitely room for like zombies. There's room for the trickster. There's room for anything from the show to put into those bubbles that could be spooky and also family friendly.
Yeah, and I mean, the show does a very good job of being spooky in a way that isn't frightening to kids.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think one way to help with that too is to use like Mabel trying to like continue on the haunted house. Something crazy happens and she's like, ooh, but touch these grapes, I mean eyeballs.
Mabel has a good way of finding the innocence in things to kind of dilute the scare.
Mabel is voiced by Kristen Schaal.
Oh, love her.
Yeah, and she's this wildly optimistic, over-the-top character that really kind of always brings the show levity. So I think that would be a really fun, having Mabel interject and hearing her voice and her really being persistent in making everything silly, I think helped.
I think she's a great narrator for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it would be the fun dynamic from the show of Dipper and Mabel, where Dipper is, almost this conspiracy theorist, like trying to hunt down the mystery of Bill Cipher and defeat the bad guy and everything, and Mabel interjecting about boys and sweaters and
and she just
animals.
wants to screw around and put glitter on things.
Her pig.
Yeah, we got to have Waddles in the ride.
Yes, Waddles needs to be there.
And also, Gravity Falls is full of a lot of in-jokes and hidden secrets and references. It's like, I've seen the show, okay, I'm kind of nerding out here, but I've watched the whole show probably 4 or 5 times.
Same.
And every time I watch it, I still notice things that I didn't notice before. So this ride could be great for Easter eggs like that.
Yeah, there's secret codes and hidden meanings, and it's the whole show is full of a lot of cool mysteries, and so having like some sort of mystery to the shack would be neat.
When you say that, what jumps to mind is the cue line for Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can still do it. When it first opened, they would literally give you decoder cards because the lines were so long and so tedious that you could go through every single symbol in the queue and figure out what they said.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that might be a thing still, but I think only if the lines are really long. I think if the lines are not long, I don't think they do it.
I mean, this was like 20 years ago or something whenever it opened, but like having something like that where you can give kids decoder cards for the secret codes that are places and put like funny messages into them would be really cool.
It might be Dipper's trying to leave them secret codes, but maybe it's not Dipper. But, just something that they can solve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe something left by the mysterious author.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really want this. I love the where this is going with the bubbles, but I also, for something like a walkthrough attraction, I think kids need to be able to have that agency to feel like they figured out something, or that they're in on something special that other people don't know. Even if, everybody else is figuring it out, you're 7 years old and you figure out that code, you're the only one who's ever done that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that would be a necessary part of something like this.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's built so well into the DNA of the show that I think putting it into the attraction is kind of not only is it awesome, it's kind of essential.
Essential. 2020.
And insanity bubbles can kind of be 2020. I feel like I'm living in an insanity bubble.
Yeah.
While I'm social distancing.
This sign by the Arby's by my house, next to the drive-thru, it says like, you can be essential too, work at Arby's.
Oh, I saw that.
That's hilarious.
I'm just like thinking about like using that as part of the Gravity Falls thing, telling the kids you can be essential too. Figure out this mystery that we have to
Decode this.
And that could be like a recurring thing too, right? If it's Halloween specific, the code can change every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing too, it doesn't come into play until later in the show, so hashtag spoilers. But Dipper discovers that there is more to his journal than he thought when he uses a black light. So maybe some codes are visible without black light, but some you actually need a black light for, or something like that.
Speaking of, I own that journal, and yes, you need a black light to read some of it.
That would be kind of a cool effect to kind of give people a light, almost like
a black light flashlight.
Yeah, to like point at things, almost like those laser rides and stuff. Or I think there's a Monsters Inc. ride somewhere where you have to do that and it triggers effects. So doing almost something like that with the kids to kind of be like, point this here, and then something will go off or change.
Yeah, we could even have that could be part of Mabel's narration.
So I don't know. I don't think they still have it, but in Epcot, years ago, they had the Kim Possible thing. I don't know what it was called.
They don't have it anymore. It is now a Phineas and Ferb themed thing, so it still exists.
Well, that's awesome, because I love Phineas and Ferb, but we'll get into that in another episode. But so the Kim Possible thing, Eric and Tanner, are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay, so you could go on a Kim Possible mission, and they did it in World Showcase, which is cool because they had different ones in different countries. The only one I ever did was China. Brock was there with me. We did the China one. So we were given...
Commie bastard.
Brock, was it like a card or what was it?
Yeah, so it was like a card type thing, if I remember correctly. But we actually did a few of the experiences. Yeah, but what it would be is you would go to different places.
In fairness, it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah. You would go to different places within the World Showcase, and using the thing that they gave you, I think it was some sort of card, you would interact with something that has always
Brock,
been there.
I just remembered what it was. It wasn't a card. It was Kim's gadget thing.
Right, the thing she uses to talk to Wade.
Yeah, what's that called?
Her beeper?
I don't remember.
Because you can call her beeper.
Yeah.
If you want
it
me
has
to.
a name. It's like the Kim something or other. But yeah, it was one of those.
So you would go, and there would be, the normal decoration within the park, the stuff that's always there. But if you use that in a specific spot, it would move or it would do something interactive.
So, like, the normal guests would never notice it in a million years. You would only know about it if you were doing this Kim Possible thing. But yeah, they had animatronics hidden in the parks. I mean, one that really stuck in my mind was we had to do a special clue near a pond in the China Pavilion. So we went to this little pond in the garden, and we had to, like, wave a special way and then hit a button on the thing. And a dragon statue with a ruby actually rose out of the pond and like squirted water, and like we like wrote down something about it, and then it like lowered back into the water. Like you would never even know it was there.
Yeah, thousands of guests walk by, every day without knowing that that's there. But if you're
That's
doing
insane.
the Kim Possible thing, it's there for you. And I remember there was one, it's a sort of telescope thing in the France Pavilion that you can use to look at the Eiffel Tower, and guests use it all the time. But if you use your little thing on it and you looked through, there was a little animation with inside the telescope, the view of the telescope of Kim Possible and a couple of her villains flying by.
That is so
Anyway, I
cool.
brought that up because that was a thing, 15 years ago. Imagine what we could do with that technology now in Gravity Falls.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it definitely made me feel like I was in on something. Like this is a Disney secret that only I am in on.
Yeah.
And that was a cool feeling, especially as a kid.
And that's the kind of experience that hooks kids to become the adults that we are.
Yeah, the nerds, the hardcore
Yeah.
Disney nerds.
Yeah, the people who are like live and breathe that kind of experience.
The people who are like, let's have a podcast where we make our own Disney attractions.
Wait, we don't want to make more of those. This is our market.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, we don't want 15 years from now a flood of Main Street Musings knockoff podcasts coming through.
Let's be honest. If the real Imagineers ever hear about this show, they're going to be so annoyed with us.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like,
100%.
oh, yeah, it's so easy for you guys to sit at home and just think of rides when you don't have to worry about budgets or corporate, politics or...
Yeah.
And you just sit there and like, oh, we could do better.
I think the difference is, though, Jake, is that we're smarter than them. That we're actually better at their jobs than they are.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Baxter,
think
eat
it's
your
nice.
heart out. We're the
Please
real
don't hate us. We love you.
Imagineers.
Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of Imagineers, I want to do a quick shout out. We are recording this episode on October 25th, which is the legendary Bob Gurr's birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy
Bob was
birthday,
born in
Bob.
1931. So if somebody wants to do math to tell me how old he is, because I can't do that math that quickly.
89.
89, yeah.
So yeah, Bob is currently 89. He still runs his Walt Disney Waltland tours out in California. He still regularly visits the parks and does awesome stuff. He's super active. He still mountain bikes all the time. Bob is the Imagineer responsible for anything in Disney that has wheels from original Disney. He was one of the original Imagineers. He invented Autopia. He invented the Matterhorn bobsleds. He invented the Mr. Lincoln animatronic, etc. So shout out to Bob Gurr. Happy birthday. We love you, Bob.
Happy
And
birthday,
I shall
Bob. Please
salute-
make a sexy version of the animatronic Lincoln for us. Thank you.
Yes.
I shall salute my my signed copy of the blueprints for the original Lincoln animatronic signed by Bob Gurr.
Yes, I have that as well as his signed blueprints of the monorail, because he also built
Yes.
the monorail.
I think we might have our pitch.
Walk us through now the pitch in your view, Brock.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys correct me if I missed something. So it sounds like we're walking through the town of Gravity Falls. We see the Mystery Shack in the distance, and as we get closer to the Mystery Shack, we encounter we get to see the Mystery Shack, and we're about to go in. We watch a little video by Grunkle Stan, Dipper and Mabel, and some other characters from the show. We enter the Mystery Shack. We view his little his attempt at a haunted house, but soon that is derailed as Bill Cipher takes over in another room and sends us through some of his insanity bubbles. With the help of at least the voices, perhaps we see video through windows or something of Dipper and Mabel and other characters from the show. The guests are able to defeat Bill Cipher and return to the Mystery Shack as we exit through the gift shop.
Sounds
Along
good.
with some mystery decoding
Yes.
in the meantime. I love it. I think that sounds great.
I may be
Spooky.
biased, but I think it's great. Our idea.
Our idea that is significantly better than any Imagineer could ever come up with.
Oh, right, of course.
And if you listen to this and you say you can do it better, please do.
Especially because I just like to point out too, I'd like to point out too that all of our original ideas are based entirely on shows and IPs created by other people and rides that were created by other people.
Yeah, it's that easy, Jake.
It's called postmodernism, Jake.
Oh, right, of
Nothing's
course.
original. Nothing's new.
All right, boys. I think we have a solid pitch. Let's take it to the lightning round.
Lightning round.
It's the lightning round.
All right, so I have spun the wheel of lightning. And
What do we got, Jake?
We have a river ride based on Fantasia.
We're going to have to time ourselves, gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, for the sake of sanity, just pick a Fantasia short that you like. You know, you don't have to base it on the whole freaking movie. So,
Okay.
And I think also Fantasia 2000 would work as well. So you can pick a short from either Fantasia movie and do a river ride based on that. So who's going to go first?
We have Tanner.
Tanner always goes first on lightning rounds, I think.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
re-roll
pretty
that. I got Tanner again on the re-roll, so Tanner
It's
goes
just the way it's
first.
meant to be. Okay, so for this lightning round pitch, we are going to be using the Fantasia short Night on Bald Mountain, in which guests will go through a terrifying journey to escape the wrath of Chernobog while on a river ride. Thank you. That ends my pitch. Jake, did you have something to add?
Son of a bitch.
All right, so next up, we have Brock.
So this is a ride where it's Sorcerer Mickey. You start in a dry ride vehicle, and it's a semi-aquatic ride vehicle. And you go into the water, and you see his dreams projected on the sky as the brooms multiply. And it turns out it's an aquatic ride vehicle as well. Mickey is there. He's doing his Sorcerer Mickey thing. Your ride vehicle is a car, and then it's a boat. In fact, if you want to hear more about this idea, listen to episode 1 of this podcast when it somehow did not win. So make it win this time, people. That's my pitch. I had actually a couple ideas for other ones, and then I was like, no, that. I already did this pitch. Honestly, I had to do it because I thought one of you might steal it if I didn't.
Okay, next up, we have Jake.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go for a river ride of the short with Dionysus or whatever his name is. I can't even really remember what song it is or anything, but it'll be set to the music. You'll be going through the river while he's throwing his party and he's shooting champagne everywhere. That may or may not be the same one as all the centaurs. I'm not sure. So you'll be going through the pretty forest while the centaurs prance around you and dance, and forest nymphs and all that jazz in a boat on the river. That's my pitch. Eat it.
Jake, that is the same one, I believe.
This is the most bitter lightning round we've ever done. I love it. I love all the negativity. I believe that leaves me with 30 seconds on the clock and go. I am going to go for the Pomp and Circumstance section from Fantasia 2000, where Donald Duck is playing Noah's first mate as the flood hits.
All right.
And we are river rafting through the flood as it's going on the ark, as the water is rising to dangerously high levels, and then at the end splashes us down into safety with Donald Duck doing Donald Duck things, and that's my time.
Okay, nice.
That was going to be my other pitch if I didn't do mine.
My other pitch was going to be the crocodile and the hippos.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, that would have been really good.
Yeah.
And don't forget to vote on our Twitter polls for which lightning round attraction you'd like to see us come back to at a later date.
That was both a really good lightning round and a very bitter one.
Why did no one do flamingos with yo-yos?
Oh, I forgot about that one. That would have been an amazing one. The flamingos with yo-yos. That is one of my favorite Disney sketches. I can't believe I forgot about it.
Guys, I can't find our social media anywhere. Jake, can you help me find our Facebook?
Yeah, we are facebook.com/Main Street Musings.
And oh my gosh, Tanner, where's our Instagram?
You can find us on Instagram at main_street_musings.
And Eric, do you know where our Twitter may be?
We are at MSM_podcast.
And I'm Brock.
Brock, do you want to throw our OnlyFans out there though, just in case?
Oh yeah, we can be found at onlyfans.com/Main Street Musings. We will be porky picking it most of the time.
I think on Disney Podcast we would call it Donald Ducking It.
And I'm Brock. And everyone make sure to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Spooky, scary.